good governance, whether it's promoters, independent directors, women directors, CEOs, CXOs, CFOs play a very critical role. Mentor My Board today is a brand known to the Finance Minister of India too. We launch various initiatives like boardroom mastery certification programs for the promoter directors, WOM, that is Women on Management and Boards, for women directors, directors, education and learning for independent directors. We believe in continuous learning and upskilling, and hence our Board Tattva series, the coffee meets that we conduct regularly every week, and the blogs, the videos that we share on the platform are well appreciated by all our members. So do join us in this momentum of good governance by joining the at www.mentormyboard.com. In the pursuit of building better governed boards with effective directors, we strive to create a community of 100,000 directors, a like minded community of people who come together, learn, unlearn, and relearn, and create opportunities for these board aspirants too. The platform of Mentor My Board acts as an enabler for us to do so and drive these initiatives pan India, the presence which will bring you international governance perspectives as well. With this sole initiative, we have come up with this member spotlight series, which focuses on recognition, growth, and celebrating the credibility of our members under the spotlight. Today, we would wish to welcome Priyanka Acharya, our member of Mentor My Board. Just to introduce Priyanka in a very short way. So, she is a winner of India's Top Women in the Finance in 2023. She is an owner of Lakshmi Gyan, empowering Lakshmi of the family, the women in the family, with the financial education. And she's been doing a lot of wonderful work in this field, which we will be gradually speaking about chat with her. She's educating the agents to become professionals. She's a podcaster of Ek Chuski, a Finance Lakshmi Gyan Library, and an author too. Welcome, Priyanka, to this members podcast series of men.
Thank you so much, Divya. Thank you so much, Neha.
That's okay. So, Priyanka, we would love to hear your story, your life story, if you can share with us.
Sure. So, I always wanted to become a psychologist when I was a child.
Wow.
And I used to have that, it used to thrill me when I used to read about human relations or thought processes, behaviors. But in those days, way back in 1999 and all, so it used to be if your academic marks are good, you choose either arts or either commerce or science only. So that's how I chose commerce ultimately, and then I left the psychology behind, did my BCom, MCom, MBA in finance again, and somewhere I started working with FT, which is financial technologies, now known as 63 Moons Technologies. So I got a very good start to my career as a business analyst and later as a pre-sale specialist. But eventually, I joined Bombay Stock Exchange as a content manager and faculty.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
when I went to BSc, the whole thought process of finance changed. And in fact, the seed of financial education inside me came from BSc. So I started understanding that in fact, finance is also a psychology. So neither have I, left out my first love. I can still do many things with it. And because BSc used to have multiple audiences in those days who used to come for study visits. So,
Hmm.
conducting sessions in that international convention hall and all those moments and milestones I could have. And eventually, I started doing a lot of training programs, investor awareness. After that, finally, I curated the whole concept of Lakshmi Gyan. And finally, Lakshmi Gyan currently has two verticals. So
Okay.
one vertical is focused on providing professional approach based education to the health insurance agents and relationship managers.
Okay.
The second vertical is more about women understanding financial education, but I'm not looking at financial freedom or independence or getting rich quickly. I am looking at promoting financial conversations in families, because that is something very critical today, where we have become like too busy in our lives, and somewhere we have our own thoughts. We have become too independent that we have stopped being interdependent with family when it comes to finances. So all in all, I can say that I was always in love with psychology. I married finance, but currently my marriage and affair both are very happily going on together.
That was a wonderful connotation when you made we have become too independent to handle, to be interdependent in the family for finances. And I so agree to it that, today being individuals who are working professionals, we handle, and, people are like, they don't even know what their spouses are doing and where they are investing. And that is where we saw in the COVID times that, we saw so many challenges that came up. I mean, definitely due to ignorance, but even due to, communication which has to happen between the family members with regards to this very crucial topic of finance. So yes, I totally agree to what you are saying, Priyanka. Now let me ask you one question: like, how and when did you get associated with Mentor by Board? So, what was your first association?
So I had been, looking at your initiatives, which were for directors, and I took a step-by-step approach in my own entrepreneurial journey, where I began with a sole proprietary. Then, after 2 years, I incorporated an OPC Private Limited. So then that word director, gives a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. You are very cautious whether everything is getting done right or not. Is the compliance being met? Is the governance fine? Even if I am still running a startup today, I was very conscious about the processes. So I used to look at a lot of initiatives which were happening, but the one big moment was definitely meeting the finance minister at the women conference that you had done last year. So that was
Right.
my first very close interaction with Mentor My Board. And I had really loved the way it was not just the finance minister, but the whole lot of speakers who came throughout the day, including, person, very senior person from SEBI se leke Z business tak, everybody. There were so many people. And in fact, you had hosted Ekta Kapoor as one of your keynote address speakers. So all those things were like very captivating, because we always thought of media and all of this, and when we heard those practical insights about companies, governance, directors, women, women's role into companies, so that really inspired me a lot. And then I was a part of your womb batch with this, and it was a completely transformational experience again, because when you say women on management and boards, there were two perspectives I'd come with to this course. Because one was that I myself am a director now of my own little company. Plus, I am an aspiring independent director on boards, because I really want to, be a part of aligning strategies for people, or be, adding value to the companies which are already in existence and they are established. So, with those two things in mind, I was a part of Boom, and again, it transformed the whole thing by having the group mentoring, personal mentoring, so many self-paced learning things. And it was a complete blend of learning, in spite of having your own family to take care of, or having your own work assignments. It was very manageable because of the structure that it was given. And the icing on the cake was definitely the convocation of womb, because that's where you had invited Dr. Kiran Bedi. So receiving a convocation certificate from the hands of Dr. Kiran Bedi, I mean, I will cherish this moment forever and ever. I think Divya, your connection is somewhere lost. No worries. I think till then, let me still, I can go on and on talking about womb. So while waiting for Divya, let me also share to people who are watching this that as a part of womb, what I really loved was that each and every nuance of what a director needs to take care of, especially what a woman director needs to take care of, as in an emotional intelligence perspective to a very technical perspective. Every side, every industry that you are associating with, all of this was very, very beautifully put up by Womb. And I was really, learning at every stage, because every time we used to, all participants used to look forward that, there will be something new today to learn. So it was very exciting. Otherwise, it so happens that sometimes we would, pick up any online course, or perhaps, we'll just pay the money and then we'll be like, okay, when we get time, we'll do it. But here, because of the content, the structure, and the kind of mentors we had, it was like, the way the ease to pull through was like wonderful. So in that sense, Womb really helped me in terms of all the perspectives and areas that a woman director needs to look at. So I'm a much confident director today, and I'm a much higher aspiring director today, in fact.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear this genuine feedback from you, Priyanka, and I simply loved the way you put it so clearly, so subtly. So thank you for that, Priyanka. But we would wish to know about something about the Lakshmi Gyan and the financial literacy thing that you're working on. So how can improving the financial literacy among women contribute to closing the gender wealth gap that is happening? So there is a very beautiful video that I've seen generally, that there are a set of few questions that are being asked to men
Yes,
and women, and then they step back and then they step ahead
true.
based on the yes or no that they answer. So that video actually hits you,
Totally.
immediately when you
Yes.
watch it. So I wanted to understand this, that how do we improve this financial literacy among women where it can close that gender wealth gap.
So let me tell you that when I began, I was getting, I think 90% of my assignments were coming from rural areas, because the thought
Oh,
process was that, rural women, so they don't get any access to all this. They are not digitally savvy. So, would you go and talk to them about financial literacy? But the way I want to tell you this on this forum, that when I went to so many villages in my experience of few initial years, I saw that rural women, in fact, are much more savvy with money. I know they are not very well educated. I know they may not have, comfort with English, or they really have the fear of signing or putting a thumb impression on forms. But still, because of having limited resources and too many wants, and having that, urge to educate their children in a very good setup, with all these priorities, they are very, very good with saving money. They are very good with knowing about money. So they will ask 100 questions to people and then take a decision. They will, be taking care of the household also at times, because वहाँ पे ऐसे होता है कि sometimes, the spouse is maybe, drinking or having vices and all. So she's the one who takes over the entire house responsibility. But to the
true.
contrary, when I used to do programs for urban women, this is my perspective of all these years, that urban women find it more challenging comparatively to manage finances. One reason being the lack of time, because we are in a fast paced world. Two being, the lack of, confidence in asking this question, because sometimes women also find it very silly to ask that, how can I ask that how to fill this pay slip in the bank? So she might, not ask, she might put wrong information, or she will ask her father, she'll tell her husband, or she will feel that, oh ho, itna responsibility hai, already my work life balance is totally disturbed, where will I think about finances? So that was one major observation I got, and that's how I started designing more programs for the urban masses. because eventually I discovered my, niche forte, that where I want to focus is on the family conversations, specifically a mother who is, who is maybe, outsourcing finances to the other males of the house, or she is doing some limited investments and saying that I didn't know anything, but now I've started my SIPs. So buying financial instruments is not meaning that you are financially literate, because there is so much beyond buying a financial instrument that families really really need to know. There is one death, one medical emergency, and then, हमारी आंखें खुल जाती है, अरे यार हमको तो पता ही नहीं था. In fact, the finance minister has said in the current budget that more than 55,000 crores of Indian rupees are lying unclaimed across all the instruments. That is
True.
because of lack of conversations in the family. And the
Very
mother, who is like, responsible for the child's upbringing more than even the father usually. So for her, what happens is, the child also feels nahi, wo to daddy ko hi पूछ सकते हैं, mummy ko nahi pata. So somewhere I see youth using demat account like a video game today, and it's very sad to see that face. And somewhere, no, at the school level now, dheere dheere some kind of, and little bit of sprinkling of financial education is happening, but we really need to come out of this and talk about finances openly and very consistently in the family. So that's where Lakshmi Can comes into picture. The second element of health insurance that I told you, so eventually while I was doing all this, I also felt that there is no education for health insurance also.
Hmm.
So a doctor will, go through an MBBS, MD, DM, all these degrees, but then health insurance के लिए कहाँ कोई degree है. So you just need to pass an IRDA exam, you get a license, and you start selling policies. So somewhere that stage is also going into,
True.
sales, product, technicalities, and health insurance is a very complex product because every feature has a cost attached to it, and every feature decides what kind of claim you will get. So I decided to bridge this gap between
Hmm.
families and agents by making them professionals. And that's where I started an umbrella called
Wow.
MBA. MBA stands for Mediclaim Business Administration. So currently, I take contracts with health
Oh,
insurance companies, brokers, and of course, I have a Play Store app where agents can go through my pre-recorded courses and they can learn a lot of stuff there.
wow. That's great. That's great to hear. And Priyanka, I could remember when you were speaking, when finance minister came to the women directors conclave, even then she mentioned that, if you want to see, you feel that, the village women can be spoken to and can be, simply, they can be taken into confidence, but then they are the most hard nuts to crack. And when it comes to taking a decision, they are the ones whom you cannot convince by anything that you
True.
speak. So you have to be very particular, very meticulous when you're speaking to them, and they are very difficult to
In
crack
fact, at
down.
one of
So
the,
I
one of the
totally
womb
remember
interactions,
those.
also I remember that we had spoken about this Mandeshi Foundation, which is the bank for the rural women. So the whole
Yes.
story only makes you feel that how women have that courage, they have that conviction, and they are just ready to go for it. I mean, they never hesitate to go for financial decisions.
True. It is just that they need the little wings or a little air under their wings, in fact, just to fly high. Otherwise, you cannot, really curb this to soar high. So I agree to what you're saying. So Priyanka, your observations have been like very very detailed. I want to ask you one more question, that what are some of the common misconceptions or myths about women and money? So because you've gone to rural areas, you've studied, you've seen most of the urban women, so one you definitely mentioned now that they hesitate. So that might be due to a myth that मैं कैसे पूछूं, as you said, right? So how can financial literacy initiatives address these misconceptions, and what are these misconceptions? So if you can a little elaborate on them as well.
Sure. So I'll give you some practical, things that I heard from people. So I was talking to
Sure.
one family once. We had casually, they're like, kind of known people. So while having lunch, I said that the husband is a trader. So he does commodity trading and something like that. So I just casually asked him that, Bhabi is a homemaker. So you would be involving her also in this, right? Because she is at home usually, and you also trade from home. So you must be having her also. And sometimes, so casually I said lady luck and that charm and all that. So he said, no, no, if I tell her or make her sit beside me na, mera to mamla bigad jayega. So I
Oh,
felt very uneasy to listen to that statement, and that made me think that perhaps this has been an age old concept in the minds, that a woman is the one who is just for the sake of protecting the family members. The man is the one who provides for the family members. And
true.
now it is high time, with this kind of education and beti padhao beti bachao, all this happening, we need to really change and go ahead one step and think beyond this. So that was one thing that really triggered me to get into this space very highly into it and deeply into it. The second
Hmm.
case that I used to see is that sometimes when I went to women networking events and forums, so
Hmm.
very good, well educated women, very well dressed, very well groomed women, also
Hmm.
sometimes take pride. I'm sorry to be so harsh. They take pride in saying that I don't know anything about finances. I just don't get it. So that's where I started thinking that if a woman knows very easily that with her blazer a pearl neck piece would match best, so then she has to know that what will match best with the lifestyle of her family, as in the financial instruments that they are going for. Or and the third thing, when I was in school, when there was a Diwali homework, we used to get that 1 month break. Maybe Neha, you have also experienced
Yes.
this. Uh,
And that
there
leverage only
was
we had in our ages. Now the kids
True,
don't
true.
have
In
it.
our generation, yes. So we used to get that homework, and we were more excited for it because उस दिवाली homework की book को decorate करना होता था. Now,
Decorate करना है.
yeah, we used to be so happy to take that book also after the vacation because it had to be decorated. Now, I
Yeah.
want to ask women that how many of us decorate the investment files in our house? सो हम लक्ष्मी पूजा करते हैं, सो हम चकाचक, अभी गणपति आ रहे हैं तो वी विल डू ऑल हाउस क्लीनिंग, डीप क्लीनिंग. दिवाली आएगी तो वी विल हैव अ नाइस एकदम शाइनिंग मूर्ति पूजा एंड चोपड़ा पूजन एंड so many things. But what about the
True.
lakhs and crores of rupees that are lying in those documentations? And those documents are either on the WhatsApp PDF somewhere, and all of this is very practical. So, a woman's role is to help in streamlining the family finances. Whether she invests, insures on her own or not, that is immaterial. But her thought process and her creativity can actually bring a lot of discipline in finances in the family. So, I think that this financial education kind of a thing, that too unbiased, without getting into any schemes or tips and all, if we can bring this very base level education in India for these women, and it can influence more women and multiply, then it can really bring a complete mindset transformation.
I'm simply loving this chat with you, Priyanka. Honestly, it's a pleasure, listening to you. Uh, just, I wanted to, quickly ask you, what are your life lessons and what are your key mantras of success?
So I think what I've learned is that it's always good to have people who are your idea validators. So definitely all of us have friends. We have, I was very, very fortunate to get very good mentors, including the womb mentors that I have, who are like still approachable, still in touch. They've never said, "Abhi bhai course khatam ho gaya, abhi हमारा नया batch चल रहा है." So those mentors, the earlier mentors that I had, they have really shaped up my thought process. But what has really helped me is that there is an advisory board that we have here, because it's an OPC, as I said, it's
Hmm.
a one person company.
Hmm.
So sometimes, as an entrepreneur, you get very biased about your decisions because you've done it with your passion and you just want to throw it, but maybe that doesn't sound good in business.
True.
So this idea validation team, where you just throw an idea that this is what I've thought, now please give your inputs. So they will always, reshape it, they will create a lot of finesse to it, add a lot of finesse to it, and they will tell you the way to go. So rather than, getting into the space of advisory, they are more of idea validators to me.
Hmm.
So I've been very highly blessed with these people, and I always urge entrepreneurs that please have an idea validation team who will tell you what will not work in this idea. That is something so important for a startup. The second thing that I always love to do is networking. And by networking, many of us have a misconception networking means going and selling your things or buying certain things, but it is again way beyond that. So, your relationships with people, the way you observe people, that really, fits the fourth element of the ikigai. Like we say, whether the world will pay for it or not. So, when you meet people and you just listen to them, they are the ones who will tell you as to what they really want. So you will be able
Hmm.
to design your programs accordingly. Like I used to do Lakshmi Gyan sessions earlier, and then I transformed it into a Lakshmi Gyan housey, Lakshmi Gyan Kundli, Lakshmi Gyan meditation, Lakshmi Gyan recipe, all these kind of concepts for financial education, because I felt that otherwise it is very difficult for a woman to understand finance, because she has been listening to so many webinars, but she still finds it complex. So when you listen, network with like-minded people, you end up getting inspired and you know what you want to do. And the last thing I would always say is that, like I've learned this from Womb also, that governance is the biggest thing to look at when you are running a business or rather running an organization. So I feel for governance, you don't need to get a certain level of turnover and then only start, or your rules are that itna ho gaya to hi itna karo. I guess that's where we have to learn from Tatas, or all these case studies, lovely case studies that you guys keep on putting up regularly. So it's very important to see that you can't just have a steep rise and then have a very big fall. Instead, it's good to have a gradual climb at your own pace, but always go back and keep on checking whether your processes, compliance, governance are in place or not. And I think then a good night's sleep will come to you. You will be very satisfied with what you're doing, and obviously the world will be with you in these campaigns that you initiate.
These are such wonderful points. So if I have to say that, about your third point where you mentioned governance, तो जैसे it is like, बच्चों को हम बोलते हैं कि the true values, the core concepts, ethics are already young. So we don't let them grow till their teenagers and then start teaching them about these things, right? So governance is equal to what you're saying, like, just build it right from the base, right from when you're starting, and then it develops in the culture of the organization. May it be a OPC, may it be registered, unregistered, anything. May you be a private limited or a limited company, but then it has to build right from the start so that the culture of the entire organization is set in that context. And when you mentioned about advisory board as well in your first point, it was wonderful because even we are the ones who have been blessed with an amazing advisory
True.
board, and they are the ones whom we throw our ideas to and they validate. They create actually that nest around you wherein it helps you to give that support so that you are not, just like, you're not just thrown out in the world. It is like everything is validated once and then it is put on in a very professional, in a very
True.
nice way to the world so that they are ready to accept it as it is. So yes, would agree to whatever you have said, and these points were really, really resonating with what we at Mentor My Board also believe that it is true, and we think that these kind of initiatives add a lot of value to you as a person and to your business as well.
And I
Great.
think
And
that's
my
what
last
you are multiplying by, bringing the same values and thought processes in the womb batches also. So that's something that I've lived in those 3 months of learning, in fact.
Thank you so much. And we would urge each one of you to come back to attend those regular programs as well so that it is engagement. It happens like, you are in that continuous learning in the growth phase. So that is an urge to each one of you as well. My last question to you, Priyanka. So what are the key skills that you bring to table when you say that you want to become an independent director on board of any company? So if some boardroom has to appoint you as an independent director, what are the key skills that you think you bring into the table?
The biggest thing would be aligning an organization strategy to the financials of the organization, because sometimes the books of accounts say something different and the company's plans are different. And specifically, when the management is from a non financial background, sometimes they outsource this to somebody else. And that's why there is a thought process gap. So I think that is one of the biggest areas where I work on when I work with businesses. The second one would definitely be conversational communicational skills, because again, making finance and financial strategy very easy, and it should reach to the last level of the mile, should be something that every company would look at. So it's always finance and strategy that I can think of at the topmost of my mind.
That is so amazing. But along with that, I think when you said that you love networking as your, as the key
Correct.
mantras of success, definitely your network also brings in that kind of credibility to the organization. And I can add it to, the way I know you, you have a good network wherein you can add a lot of value to the. Thank you, Priyanka, for being here. And we would love to have many such conversations with you again. It was
Thank you
wonderful
so much.
having a chat with you.
Definitely a pleasure, and thank you so much for creating this kind of a spotlight. It really, really means a lot. So, thank you so much to the entire team of Mentor My Board.
Always welcome. And you have such wonderful comments. You can just check the chat box, it is full with comments, and people are loving hearing to you.
That's great. Thank you.
See you soon. Bye bye.